She sat for a tough interview with 60 Minutes. And if you're the Harris campaign, if you're Kamala Harris yourself, you can think of what tough questions Bret Baier could ask. He's going to ask, I'm assuming, about the economy, about immigration, about inflation, about separating herself from Biden. So don't you think she has a good opportunity to really prepare for these and take her 60 Minutes interview as like a trial run to this?
Absolutely. And I've written about this recently in my Substack newsletter, is that I think this is the perfect time for Kamala Harris to say, you know what? I was Joe Biden's vice president. I'm proud of that. I tried to give him good counsel, but pick an issue, but I would say, Brittany, immigration. I don't think what we did worked well enough. And here's what I'm going to do. And who knows what that is, but maybe it's, I pledge to you, Bret Baier, I'm going to name a Republican as my Department of Homeland Security Secretary to oversee the border, to make sure we find a bipartisan way to solve this problem. To my mind, that's a no-brainer. She has to find ways to separate from Biden. Biden is not popular, 40% approval at best. His handling of the economy and immigration, two of the biggest issues in the election. A majority of people disapprove of how he's handled those things. She would be smart politically to say, I don't agree with everything Joe Biden does. I was proud to be his vice president, but on this issue, I'm going to take a different course. And why not do it on the biggest audience of conservatives that she's going to have between now and the election?
That's a really smart strategy. Do you think she risks potentially turning off Democrats by saying, hey, this is how I'm going to be different? Because she is running as that change maker, but on The View, she fumbled that answer a little bit when she said, hey, nothing comes to mind when I would want to do anything different. She saved herself a bit later saying, I would appoint a Republican, but that didn't seem to do it much because it was already cut as a Trump ad.
Yeah, that was a big mistake. You should not say, I wouldn't do anything different from a president who is unpopular. That's a bad idea. To the question of would she lose a bunch of people by seeming to move to the middle, I don't think so. Because again, first of all, I always remind people of this. The reason Joe Biden's not the nominee anymore is because the Democratic base was never excited about Joe Biden. So I'm not sure there's a huge number of people in the Democratic base who are going to say, oh, you're criticizing Joe Biden? I can't possibly vote for you. That's point one. Point two, Donald Trump is the Republican nominee. So given that, if you're a Democratic base voter, we're not talking about an undecided voter, we're not talking about someone who leans Democratic, we're talking about someone who is a Democrat, who votes for Democrats all the time. Are you really going to say, well, I was going to vote for Harris, but she broke with Biden on immigration. Now I'm either going to stay home or vote for Trump? I don't. Or is there someone in the country who thinks that? Sure. Is it a statistically important and significant number? No way.